You know what most people don't realize about the American work week? We've been stuck in this bizarre time warp since the 1940s. Seriously, while productivity has skyrocketed thanks to computers, the internet, AI, and every technological advancement you can think of, we're still grinding away like it's 1940 and we're manufacturing tanks for World War II. But what if I told you there's a company right here in Lake County, Illinois that's quietly figured out something that most American corporations refuse to acknowledge? A company where people actually leave work on Friday afternoon, not to sneak out early or because they're working from home, but because that's literally the policy. I'm talking about Trustmark Benefits, and today I'm going to tell you why this 112-year-old insurance company is one of the best places to work in the entire state, maybe even the entire country. And no, they're not paying me to say this. I actually worked there for several years and I still miss it. Let me start with the thing that matters most, the thing that will make you question every job you've ever had. Trustmark operates on a 36 to 37-hour work week. Let me say that again for the people in the back. 36 to 37 hours, which means unless your specific job requires otherwise, you essentially work until midday on Friday and then you're done. You get your weekend back starting Friday at noon or 1 p.m. Now, I can already hear some of you thinking, big deal, it's just a few hours. But here's what you're missing. Those 3 or 4 hours are absolutely transformative. I mean, think about it. When do you normally start your weekend? Friday at 5 or 6 p.m., right? You're exhausted, traffic is terrible, stores are packed, and you've basically lost Friday as a useful day. It's just a transition day where you collapse on the couch and try to remember what it feels like to be human. But when you finish the work at noon on Friday, everything changes. You can hit Costco or Target when the aisles are actually navigable. You can see a matinee movie. You can have a leisurely lunch with your spouse or significant other, like a civilized person in a country that isn't obsessed with productivity theater. If you're taking a long weekend, you can beat the rush hour traffic and actually get to the airport or hit the road before the Friday afternoon exodus. And here's the psychological trick that makes this so brilliant. You don't even feel like you need as much PTO because you've got essentially a 3-day weekend every single week. That pressure to get away diminishes significantly. You're not counting down the days until your next vacation like some kind of prisoner making time on a cell wall. Listen, I worked at Trustmark for several years and I'm telling you, this benefit alone is worth thousands of dollars in quality of life, maybe more. The mental health benefits are huge. You can attend more of your kids' events. You can pursue hobbies and passions. You can actually accomplish those weekend errands without sacrificing your entire Saturday. Most American companies will never embrace a 4-day work week, at least not in our lifetime, because we're still trapped in this industrial revolution mentality that butts in seats equals productivity. But Trustmark has figured out something pretty darn close, and they've been doing it for years. But the half-day Friday thing, that's just the beginning. Let's talk about who Trustmark actually is, because context matters. This isn't some flashy startup that'll implode in 3 years when the venture capital dries up. Trustmark was founded in 1913. That's 112 years ago, originally as the Brotherhood of All Railroad Employees. Back then, 2 railroad workers and 2 insurance experts set up shop in a one-desk office in downtown Chicago to provide disability coverage for railroad workers. They were paying 90% of claims the same day they reached the office in 1913. Today, they're headquartered in that big brown building on Field Drive in Lake Forest. You've probably driven past it 100 times, and they're rated A for excellent by AM Best for financial strength. They generate nearly $1 billion in revenue, which puts them in a pretty elite category of stable, established businesses. And here's what's interesting about their recent history. Instead of following the typical corporate playbook of endless growth and acquisitions, they've actually been paring back, streamlining, getting back to their core business. In 2022, they sold their large group third-party benefit administration business to Healthcare Service Corporation in what was one of the biggest transactions in the company's history. They used those proceeds to invest in people and technology, not to go on some acquisition spree. This is a company that knows what it is and knows what it does well. And because they have such a solid base of existing insurance policies and long-term customers, they don't have that desperate, frantic energy you see at companies that are constantly scrambling for the next sale just to keep the lights on. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool, but what about the actual job? What about the money? Fair compensation. That's what Trustmark offers. Not going to pretend they're handing out Google or Apple level salaries, but the compensation is genuinely fair for the Lake County market. Senior management potentially gets access to a pension and retirement income, which, let me tell you, is basically extinct in corporate America these days. They have a 401k with solid matching, high deductible health insurance plans that you can pair with a health savings account, which is actually a brilliant tax strategy if you're healthy. And here's something clever. They offer discounts on your portion of health insurance premiums if you complete certain health tasks. Take an annual screening, get a discount. Complete their wellness learning modules, another discount. It's like they're actually incentivizing you to stay healthy instead of just treating healthcare as a cost to be managed. They have an on-site gym with state-of-the-art equipment, group exercise classes, personal training, locker rooms, even chair massages. And because they're in the fitness and wellness business through their health fitness division, they actually walk the talk on employee well-being. Oh, in the cafeteria, since they've moved to flexible work from home policy where most people are in the office Tuesday through Thursday, the grab-and-go food is free for people working on site. Free, not subsidized, not discounted, free. Sandwiches, drinks, sides, it's a small thing, but it's one of those touches that makes you feel valued rather than nickeled and dimed. Let's talk about discretionary time off policies, because this is another area where Trustmark gets it right. For certain positions, they offer unlimited vacation. Yes, unlimited. Now, I know what you're thinking. Unlimited vacation policies are sometimes a corporate scam where people end up taking less time off because there's no defined number and everyone's afraid to use it. But here's the thing. When you combine unlimited PTO with half-day Fridays and a culture that genuinely respects work-life balance, it actually works. You're not perpetually burned out and desperate for a break. And for the employees who aren't on the discretionary time off policy, the standard PTO is still pretty generous. Now let's address the elephant in the room, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend Trustmark is perfect. If you're extremely ambitious and looking to climb the corporate ladder at lightning speed, Trustmark might not be your place. Several reviews mentioned limited advancement opportunities and a slower pace of career progression. The culture is stable, comfortable, even family-like, but it's not aggressive or cutthroat. And you know what? For a lot of people, that's exactly what they want. Not everyone is trying to be a VP by 30. Sometimes you just want to work at a place where you're treated well. You do meaningful work, your colleagues are pleasant and experienced, and you can actually have a life outside the office. Speaking of colleagues, this is something I experienced firsthand. The people at Trustmark are genuinely good humans, honest, hardworking, helpful, collaborative. Working across teams was actually a pleasure, not some bureaucratic nightmare. They even have people dedicated to cross-functional collaboration who help broker the connections when disparate teams need to work together. Leadership was clear about direction and priorities. I wasn't constantly wondering what the strategy was or getting whiplash from shifting company objectives every quarter. And they regularly paid out AIP, annual bonuses, because, surprise, when you're a profitable company with a solid business model, you can actually reward your employees instead of constantly pleading poverty. They've won the Chicago Tribune Top Workplace Award for 6 consecutive years, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and continuing through today. That award is based exclusively on anonymous employee surveys measuring 15 key drivers of workplace culture. You can't fake that. And in 2024, they also won Crain's Chicago Business Best Places to Work Award. When employees were asked to describe Trustmark in 3 words, the top responses were caring, flexible, and inclusive. That's not corporate marketing spin. That's what people actually said. They're also embracing modern technology. They're openly working with AI to improve customer experience and reduce operational costs. They're not one of those companies terrified of innovation, stuck in 1995 wondering if this internet thing is going to catch on. And from a corporate citizenship perspective, Trustmark actually gives back. In 2022, they made their largest contribution ever, $9.4 million, to further endow the Trustmark Foundation. In 2023 alone, the foundation distributed $1.4 million to more than 200 charities. They'll give full-time employees 4 hours of paid volunteer time off annually. This is a company that understands as part of the community, not just an ATM that extracts money from it. And now, here's the reality check. Trustmark doesn't always have a ton of positions open, and honestly, that's probably a good sign. It means people aren't constantly fleeing in droves. The positions they need are filled, and they're filled by people who want to stay. When they do hire, it's often for technical positions, actuaries, technology roles, data analysts, because the nature of the business requires that. From my personal experience, the work itself was rewarding. The pace was sustainable, no burning the midnight oil or getting panic attacks over impossible deadlines. You could actually breathe while working. Having lunch with good friends in the cafeteria was one of my highlights. Having a healthy, productive conversation with other teams instead of combative territorial nonsense was actually refreshing. Working for leadership that respected you as a human being and not just a resource to be optimized was actually enlightening. And Trustmark was a place where you could actually earn enough to save in retirement accounts and save for your future. It also gave you the peace of mind that comes from working for a financially stable company. And it was rewarding knowing that the products you were helping to deliver actually made a difference in people's lives during difficult times. Because at the end of the day, insurance is where they go when things go wrong. Here's my bottom line. In an era where corporations constantly demand more hours, more productivity, more hustle, while giving less in return, Trustmark is a genuine anomaly. They're proof that you can run a profitable, successful business while actually treating people like humans who have lives outside of work. The 36-hour work week, it's not just a perk, it's a statement of values. It says, we trust you to get your work done. And we don't need you to perform productivity theater by sitting at your desk until 5 p.m. on a Friday when we all know nothing meaningful happens after lunch anyway. If you're in Lake County and you're looking for a place where you can build a career, do meaningful work, and actually have a life, keep an eye on Trustmark. Check out their careers page. See if anything fits your skills, because companies like this, companies that genuinely care about their people, are increasingly rare in American corporate culture. And for everyone else listening, next time you're negotiating a job offer or evaluating where you want to work, ask yourself this: would your company ever consider giving you half-day Fridays? And if the answer is no, ask yourself, why not? What exactly would break if people left at noon on Friday? Because I can tell you from experience, nothing breaks. In fact, things might actually get better. With the Expedition Money Financial Wellness Program, you get access to an entire range of tools that will help people propel themselves forward to achieve their financial dreams. This program was designed on processes and strategies that work. This is a program that can lead people through the climb process, from mastering their cash flow, protecting their assets, paying off debt, and investing. Expedition Money is a guide to true financial independence so that your people can focus on the things that they really want: time with family, travel, experiences, hobbies, causes, and charity. And the program delivers on this with a whole range of features, including detailed and practical online courses, thousands of educational videos and articles, books for adults and for kids, educational games that the whole family can enjoy, calculators, tools, legal documents, webinars, newsletters, events, and challenges, and even virtual co-working spaces so that your remote workers can stay engaged and productive. And there is so much more coming. Expedition Money is not just another financial wellness program. It is an accelerator of financial dreams. If you want a comprehensive, fun, and engaging financial wellness program because you're fully invested in your people, then subscribe now to an affordable financial wellness program that works.